Step in the journey is a sacred step indeed. Just put one foot in front of the other, and you'll have everything you need.
So I've been all over the place in my 5 years in the classroom, and I'm also
So I just pressed record. So we're just talking a little bit about Ocean's music education, his incarnation as a music educator, to put it specifically. Yeah. So here we are. Is this show number 6? Is it 6? I think.
I almost can't believe it. It's like been such a, when we first talked about doing this, we said creating from the origination point,
Mm-hmm.
how easeful manifestations can be.
Yeah.
And I just feel great appreciation to you and to us for we've been doing it. It's been fun.
I know. We've been doing it.
What did you say when it's been doing us?
It's been doing us. Yeah. Since I talked to you last, let's just like look at the arc. So like the end of July for me was like a peak state. And it was like, I don't know, there's certain points in time when enough elements converge that you get into a peak state. And you just start, you get to experience like catching the wave of that higher frequency, which is basically, it's actually building a portal into the new earth is what it's doing. So you're sensing that you're in the new earth already is what's happening. And when that happens, the body, I want to talk a little bit about brain fusion. So it's hard to say, there's all kinds of different theories about this, but there's a man named Grant McFetridge, and you can look his website up, is peakstates.com. And Grant was born in a peak state. And so when you're born in a peak state, it's when you're born in good brain fusion. So if we think about Grant calls it the Buddha mind, the heart. So you got the Buddha mind brain, the heart brain, the solar plexus brain, the body brain, and the placenta brain, if you're an egg, and the sperm tail brain, if you're a man, which is in the back of the heart. And the placenta is right down here at the umbilicus. So we've got, and Grant has done some revisions now. He says there's not 6 brains, there's actually 12. But I don't even know what those are. We'll just stick with 6. So the idea of creating Christ consciousness is that you with every step in the embryo, you increase complexity and you don't lose fusion. That's the idea. You increase complexity, but you don't lose light. That's what you want. Now, in our culture on this planet, almost nobody's born in a peak state because the mother has trauma. There's fear in the epigenetic layers, and the father has trauma. The sperm and the egg are delivering a huge quanta of trauma to the as you come in. It's like you're in the other timeline or whatever, and you're in your higher self, and you're going, okay, let's look at which sperm and which egg have the exact resonant trauma that will completely lock onto my karmic history and be the perfect place for me to learn the lessons that I came to learn. So we choose our sperm, we choose our egg, we go, yeah, that's the perfect cluster fuck of hell. Let's go there. No offense, but being on this evolving planet in this massive transition time, we really did come into a high level of difficulty. I mean, everyone took the maximum they could take this time around, especially if they're in the front line, especially if they're starseed and they're here to serve. They took the most they could possibly take and still live through it. And so this brain fusion is what you want, right? You want the mind brain, the Buddha brain, the heart brain, the solar plexus. I'm not touching the right thing. Heart, solar plexus, and body. You want all of these to coalesce into oneness. That's what creates peak states. And so whatever, all these different things converged, and all my brains united for about 7 days. No, probably 10 or 12 days. All of my brains were holding fusion. So that was cool. And then someone threw a rock. Or on the 12th day, it was like I couldn't sustain it anymore. You know, they were being held together by spit and duct tape. It was not, you know what I mean? Because underneath, there were all these belief systems waiting to surface that had to be healed. So it was that first taste where you ride the wave, you get in to the brain fusion, but then you're going to lose it because you have to bring the rest of the self out of the underworld. And then you have greater brain fusion even. And then you go back for another layer, and then you have greater brain fusion. And then ultimately you're looking at all 12 brains and you've got the Christos Sophia matrix fully intact. So I've been in the descent since I talked to you. August 6th, I was shot out of the sky by my negative beliefs that were in there. It's like, okay, we don't agree with that.
Also, to bring lunar consciousness as the full moon peaked in our awareness, it
Yes.
lined up with that full moon in Aquarius. We all got freaky. Those of us who, as you said, star seeds and feeling it, and
yes.
now we're waning. You know, now we're waning, and so how appropriate, how in tune your body, mind, energy, starseed and myofascia are, that they're like going through this. And I mean, you know, I versions of this, we create compassion around it, but sometimes personally when I've experienced some of those turbulence things and I recognize that it's actually like super duper in line with the natural world, I'm like, oh, I kind of laugh. I'd like, wow, I guess that's completely okay and fine.
So when was the full moon? August 6th? I think
it was the third month.
The third. Yeah, I was still in my peak state there.
Yeah.
I didn't really crash until we started into the Lion's Gate. The lion had its way with me. The lion took me into its den and said, your shadow is not clear right here. Let me show you where.
Yeah, you want to talk more about 8-8 and what it means to you and how it went this time around?
So my understanding of 8-8 is that it's the earth is in direct alignment with Sirius, and hence the Lion's Gate, the Syrian lion. And it's a time when, you know, the headmaster in the universe basically says, how you doing on your assignments? And if anything is not up to snuff, you're going to get that upgrade. And it's not a pretty upgrade. Every Lion's Gate I've ever been through is like, you know, it has its great expansive side, but it immediately catalyzes into a huge underworld tour of duty. It was horrible. It was horrible. I'm like, I can't put a silver lining on it. I literally I talked to Dante about it. Dante's our friend who channels the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians said, you know, okay, you had negative beliefs that anchored you into the fallen timelines, and so you were living that in your body, the fight between the ascending timeline and the fallen timeline. So it was horrendous. And once I recovered from that, my housemate we had this massive altercation, which was just really, really painful. And so then I went off to go camping, which I'm not in my home turf. I'm not in my own bed. And we're taking a trip down the coast of California, and we're going to be sleeping in different places every night. So I've got to get the home is in my body piece. You know, that home is in my heart, that there is a home in here for me. And I was like, oh shoot, my battery's going down. Let me go grab my cord. I didn't take care of that. Hold on 1 second.
Maybe I'll sing a song. It's a sea of darkness when there is no sun. This is Sky is a Sea of Darkness by Sun Ra, and it's dedicated to the Egyptian god Tehuti when the sun, Ra,
All about you, because I'm coming for my battery, silly cat.
Tehuti gets to be in charge of the skies.
Okay, I'm plugging this thing in. Oh, dun, 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 dun. There it goes. All right, now we should be hooked up.
Perfect.
Okay. I think we're hooked up. Let me see.
Do you know that song by Sun Ra?
Yeah, so got my headphones back. Yeah.
So you were talking about the Lion's Gate and how it went for you and how you felt it in your chakras and preparing for your camping trip. Like, oh my gosh, I have to, and then I better root down in my Jade Palace.
Yeah. And that's what I need to do. That's really the big theme of my life, is getting safe in my body, finding safety in my body. You know, because it's, and I know people know this, you know, that when we come from unity worlds that are so benevolent compared to the earth grid, it can be a challenge to get into the lower chakras and really believe that we can find heaven in this earth. But that's really what we have to do. We have to, you know, when I was in that peak state and I was flying, it wasn't sustainable. There was way more of my lower chakras that needed to be included in that peak state. You know, I probably had mind heart fusion. I might have had heart solar plexus fusion, but I didn't, the body brain wasn't included. Body and solar plexus were probably somewhat out of the loop.
Can I offer our listeners just one addition, like add-on to reflect?
Absolutely.
I just noticed that you said, and I'm very sensitive to this issue because I experience my own struggles as well, to drop into my own body. And that's why I'm so passionate about it and I work on it. And one modality that's helping me is just a little bit of awareness around language, neuro-linguistic programming.
Oh, right.
And I've been having just so much fun with it. I definitely am not attached to the NLP brand in any way, shape, or form. This is not an endorsement. But I noticed the way you told the story a moment ago, you said, I really need to find safety in my own body. And what that manifested for me was a desire to feel safe. And if it was me, and it is me, because I'm also experiencing a version of this crisis, I'm actually open to discovering the safety that already lies within my own body and I have forgotten.
Nice.
So I want to offer a flip. And I'm not, you know, it's just because my brain is very into language right now and playing.
Yeah.
I know what you were saying, and I feel we resonate so closely together that we get it. And just for the listeners, I just wanted to offer that little flip. And I know you're a mistress of that too. So it's just an option.
Yeah, to find the safety in the body that already exists. That is a great way to see it. I'm just going to be silent with that for a moment. Maybe we could all just be silent with that for a moment. It's like I ground into the safety in my body that already exists. My body is a safe home. My body is a beautiful home. My body is a safe home for me. So, as you say that, Ocean, and as I feel into that, part of me, my brain says, "Nuh-uh, I don't think I've ever felt safety in my body." But that's not true. There have been incarnations where I've lived in tribal times, where there was so much interconnected support of the tribe that there was such a sense of benevolence, and there was a deep connection to the Mother Earth, and our harvest was always full, and we always knew, we just felt this incredible trust in the earth supporting us, and then our family being all around us, that the body felt like being on the earth and in a body was like a beautiful and wonderful thing, you know. And now it's like it's so different, going to school and being separated from mom, and sitting in that classroom, and just
Violent, man. I
going
mean,
into the cognitive mind and the intellect, right? And being ripped from the family, and just being ripped from the heart and the hearth so young, to go into this brain and have to figure out math problems and how to read and how to do this, and even to get tested for what your performance is when you're in first or second grade. You're already like, okay, how much does your brain know? How much are you performing? How do you perform compared to the other? What grade did you get? What mark on your paper? And then your parents are off doing their thing. So your blood relatives aren't even close to you. And then you got peer pressure, and then you got kids that are teasing you, and then you've got all the way up through the school system. You spend your 6 hours a day in these classrooms, funneled through these performance things with achievement, and like, who the hell designed this place? It is not, I mean, how can you feel safe?
I'm raising my hand. May I ask a question?
You're so
That.
Yes, love.
So no, I'm just being deeply ironic. Like the fact that we even have to do
Yeah,
that.
the fact that we have to raise our hand to ask to go to the bathroom. I mean, now I'm not, I mean, the way our society is, we're farmed into this industry where the adults are going to go 8 hours, and of course, if they have children, they're going to have someone take care of the, I can see that how it's all layered, but from the
Like I'm
standpoint,
not a robot. Like I actually would prefer not to be a machine or a robot in this lifetime.
yeah,
Like bigger.
no, I want to, I just want to be with the people I love,
What's the
connected to
closest
the
you've ever,
land.
girl?
That's all right.
What's
What else
the closest
is
you've ever
there?
felt to tribal consciousness in this rebirth? Have you had experiences of communality and heart share interbeing within mindful.
Oh yeah, those are the glimpses that keep me alive. Absolutely. I know that in the very near future, I will invest in land with a group of people and we will move and be there together, you know. But in the past, yeah, I mean, going to Singing Alive and being for like 4 days on the land, you know, eating together, singing together. And there was, 300 of us. So it's hard to have that, the real deep, what I would love is to go on a trip with like, 14 people or even 10 people. Just go on a group camp out and be together and sing and have,
Mhm. My
gatherings.
my guides are really resonating with what you just shared, and they're saying, what would happen if instead of focusing on communicating, if we focused on communing? Because communicating is something you do, and communing is a way of being. And this
Exactly.
thing you participated in, I'm just so curious to know more about, or to the sing. I missed the
Yeah, over near you
name.
there's one in nothing quite over there near you, but there is, um yeah, Singing Alive. We just go into the woods and we share songs, we teach songs, we learn songs, we have our we have the kitchen staff that prepares the food, and we all do seva, working in the kitchen and the childcare and we all do our seva, our service, volunteering our time, and we just sing all day and all night. I mean, I need to sleep. Some people just stay at the campfire singing pretty much all night. Um, and we didn't get to have it this year because of COVID, and it's a challenge to be without that gathering. It really is. And the other gathering, Sacred Circle Dance Camp Out, where we're all just together on the land, and we're swimming in the river, we're seeing each other all over the group campsite, and that didn't happen, of course. So I probably am feeling it even more now, that longing for, maybe that's one of the purposes of COVID, is to like draw the arrow all the way back and make us realize how much we need each other.
Our ability to communicate has never been higher. We can send mental messages almost from brain to brain. I mean, that our Facebook Messenger thread, you and me, could fill books. I mean, we've discussed
I
our
know,
there's so much
but
communication.
like we've never hugged, right? I want to hug. I want to hug. Oh shit. Oh, there, I can almost feel it. Oh wow. My friends and I finally decided that hugging's safe. I have a few that won't, but it makes
What's your
all the
COVID hug
difference.
protocol? What's your COVID hug protocol? I'm curious.
Well, okay, so all I do in a COVID hug protocol is, well, usually I have my mask on. I throw that on. I barely wear a mask because I never go out. I pick up my groceries from the car. I probably should wear a mask while I'm doing that, but usually I don't do that. So anyway, I just put my head over their shoulder. I mean, your head's facing the opposite direction of their face, right? So you just go straight for the face plant. And if they're taller than you, um, that's a little greater level of difficulty. But if they're your height or shorter, you can go right over their shoulder with your head, right? If they're taller, you could have them kneel down so that you can go over their shoulder. Because putting your face right in their shirt, if they've sneezed or coughed or something. But I don't know. Well, we're finding it's.
Outside of your, sorry,
No,
not
go
to
ahead, love. Yeah.
what was your first COVID hug outside of your home, your housemates and partner?
That was Kim. I mean, we were actually told that she could be connected with the virus, and she actually was. Her daughter, was watching babies whose parents were working in the hospital, the COVID unit. So for a while there, it wasn't safe to hug her at all. But they moved. The parents moved to a different place in the hospital, and they'd already been cleared for the 2 weeks incubation period. And so I asked my intuitive guides again, is it safe? And they said, and I told you that whole story, right? It's like nobody was telling me it was safe to hug her, but we said, okay, if it were safe, if it were not safe, do you think our hearts would feel like they're breaking? No. The no is a yes. The no to the not doing it is the yes. And then I hugged her, and that was my first COVID hug. It was the first one. And it was so freeing. Actually, there was one before that. My dear friend Theo Grace, who I wish I could see more, lives right around the corner. He came over with his son, and I was like, I just was like, throwing all. I love him so much, and I just like, there's no way I'm not hugging him. I just like threw open my arms and hugged him. And I was like, wow, okay, it's amazing. You can be with someone and not be touching them and be fine, but when you say hello to them, if you don't get to hug them, there's a real missing there. There's a real sense of like, what's going on, like
As a light worker, what was happening for you on a mental, emotional, energetic, body level when you had those first 2 hugs with Kim and Theo?
Yeah, it was a feeling of freedom, sovereignty over my own body. Like the government can't tell me that I can't touch this person, no matter what. The government can't tell me that I can't touch this person. I love this person, and God forbid, if my mom or my dad or a close or someone, anyone that I loved around me had COVID, I would have gone to be with them. There's just no way I would have let them be alone. So that would have just been a willingness to risk, whatever would happen to me with COVID. It'd be too much to not love someone.
Frequency, it's a fear frequency that we're confronted with anytime we're that we're in harm's way, going to the post office or like going on a hike with our friend. It's the fear matrix, and then we choose what to place our attention on. And so as extreme sports light workers, as you call us, we can take the fear matrix and say, actually, I'm going to switch to the empowerment matrix.
Yeah. And this brings up kind of a beautiful thread for me. I feel like as we exist in more and more anchored in a space of I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm held, I'm in the arms of the mother, and she's holding me all the time, and that becomes our baseline frequency, then if something isn't safe, we're really going to be able to tell, because our baseline frequency is in that love, right? The last few days, my baseline frequency has been in fear. It only started coming back actually last night about 6:45.
So we're in sync, just FYI. Like all your timings and all your happenings match perfect. We're like a bird and a fish, and they're like swimming.
We're like swimming.
Every time, and then last night, 6:41 p.m. I'm like, oh my god, what was I doing at 6:41 p.m.? It's just like,
yeah, isn't it amazing? It's like we're on that like our parallel timeline. We're on the same timeline. It's like woo.
Wondering like how and why, if you're even asking that question about our collaboration, it's like because the universe said so, dude. That's how I feel.
Yeah, the universe said so. Yeah, I woke up on I woke up on the night of the 11th, and I don't remember or the night of the was it the night of the 10th? No, the night of the 11th at like 2:00 in the morning. I woke up and it felt like it was probably one of the most freaky sensations of my life. I literally felt like there were at least 6 or 7 me's, and they were all landing at the same time, and they weren't in the body. They were trying to get into the body, and none of them knew how to breathe. and they were trying to like, how does this body work? How do we breathe? How do we live in here? How do we breathe? And every one of them was attempting to take the lungs and breathe it a different way. And all of them were suffocating because nobody had the same breath. So for 2 hours, I was just like, my friend on the East Coast, she was awake at 5 o'clock and she called me and she just took me through the journey. She's like, okay, now you're underwater and you're drowning. So just, keep witnessing the drowning, just keep witnessing it. And then I popped out of the water and she goes, okay, now you're being strangled. Keep witnessing, and then she's like, okay, now you're in this strange, like in between, there's this mist coming towards you. Can you grab it and breathe it? Can all of you breathe the same mist? And so I like tried to grab all the parts and take a breath as the oneness. And I tell you, I finally got to sleep. I mean, after she worked with me for a long time, I fell asleep. The whole next day, I was suffocating. Until 6:45, which is 9:45 your time, right? It was over. It was like in that moment, I was like, oh, I'm done. My breath started to breathe itself again. It was just like, it's just like, oh my God. And I really don't even, I really do believe that we're processing for the collective, that these are just the intersection points in our body where those collective waves are connected. But we're really, because it just doesn't make any sense. When I try to make any sense on a human level of my life, it falls down. But when I look at the moon and I look at the Lion's Gate and I look at the chaos bubble, I go, oh, okay, right? I get it. Like at 9/11, it's like my whole life was determined by 9/11. At a human level, I don't sit there and go, okay, so 9/11 happened and I'm just going to, move forward. No, 9/11 happened. I don't have a child. I don't have a career. I don't have a life at a human level, like at all. So my life is promised to the galactic level. And so when I'm processing something, it's usually at the galactic, the planetary and galactic and Earth Mother and guardian level, something needs to be processed. So it's going to come through my body. And so I just need to surrender to that instead of like complaining and being surprised. I just need to be like, oh, my friend Heather, she's like, honey, let's just not think of anything as personal. That's the best way to do it with us. Really. There's no I, there's no you. We're just these nodal points in this great portal of awareness of this collective, Earth and stars and universe. And wherever our focus is, we represent that place.
Can we go there a little bit more? Because
yeah,
I mean, this liminal border between what happened to you, you experienced, it's very interesting, and you're bringing in this more abstraction of how it is for all of us as starseeds or light workers, and I think it's extremely interesting. So I just want to ask, when I go through intensity of that nature, I call it a variety of things. Sometimes I call it like a Vipassana crisis or a healing reaction.
yeah,
It's just like there's some, and it's not really, my sensitivities are not triggered by anything that would be trackable in a normal way. Like it's not like super obvious that it's in the way that some people would look at it, like, oh yeah, this happened in your human life and then you're having this moment now. It's like sometimes you're just like, what is going
out
on?
of the blue, right? Yeah.
And so how do we process that? Because I know with like clients, we'll do distance Reiki or we'll do some modality, and they'll have, the energy will get all stirred up and it'll vortex with them for a couple days, and like it's intense and they have a healing crisis, healing reaction. And so I usually personally as a healer, I like to stay with my clients if they have a healing. So I text
Yeah,
with them,
me too. Me
you're
too.
having a response. Have you eaten? Like, why don't you eat?
Yep.
you stay with it like your witness friend, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but I'm curious, I'm piqued by your story, because my experience has been like, as a Reiki healer with Reiki clients, having a healing reaction, and yet you're saying that as finely attuned extreme sports light workers, folks like us are getting healing crises just by being attuned to the frequency we're attuned to, or like, what's causing this? Or you know what I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
I do know what you're saying. So, yeah, well, so we're expanding and we're contracting. We're expanding and we're contracting. We're, you know, like I could say, like at this human level, um, my human self feels it as like Dante said, you know, you'll start getting the payments for your class registration when you're committed fully to giving your class, right? And so I had to ask, like I had to really ask, okay, what part of me is not committed to being here? Not just to teaching the class, but to being on earth and being in this life. And I really asked that question. So the truth is, when we really ask the question at the human level, then it's like we're sending an invocation to say, okay, who's not on board? Who's not committed to this body? Who's not here? You know, why can't I make money? Why can't I, as Sarah Hope Adams, be connected to financial abundance through my body circuitry? And I was asking that question. And I wasn't just asking it, I was temper tantruming it. I was like, what is it that repels me from money? Why can't I receive it? Why can't I receive value? What is missing? And I was like literally standing before the universe, saying the sky, like,
Why?
and that was the day it happened, the night it happened. So it
there's
was like those parts heard me and said, okay, we're really going to have to get in now. We're going to have to go get in that body now. She wants us, right? She can't go any further without us.
So we've already been on healing journeys in various ways, and yet it's kind of like the work is never done.
Well,
that,
yeah.
We're always honing and retuning, because we're offering and we're giving and taking energy 24 hours a day for the benefit of the collective.
And there are plateaus, right? There are plateaus where we get to certain levels of frequency and we plateau, and we can enjoy that level for a while. We're not in one right now. We're really in a steep climb, right? We've got massive die-off in December of the entire old matrix. So everything in us that's having to die off to let in the light is paralleling what's having to die off in our collective to let in more light. So we are in a period of, you know, quantum growth right now. It's quantum. And I'm trying to, my thing's mirrored. I'm like, oh, I want to get those two purple things are pretty. Anyway, so that's my human level. It's like, oh, is my scarf pretty? Oh, is my purple? Is it showing? Now let's talk about galactic quantum expansion and contraction. So we've got this big quantum growth going on right now. And quantum growth could be translated, you know, as massive readjustments, massive realignments, purging of everything that needs to die, and reconnecting everything that needs to be born. And so there's this incredible reclamation. There's grief off the charts, because even if you have dysfunctional behaviors like me, like panic attacks, depression, despair, disgust, hatred, agony, even if you have all those things, when those things are dying, you're going to grieve, because they've been your things that you've had for so long. I mean, your brain is like organized to hold grief and despair and terror and fear and suffering and drama. Your brain is organized to do that. So when the Christ consciousness comes in and says, calm, peace, and light, oneness with everything, that's basically the death of
Suicide,
everything
right?
you've known yourself to be.
It sounds like suicide. Like, forget it.
Oh, it's yeah.
Like
So
physical.
I just wept like on what night was that? On the Lionsgate. I was out in nature and I literally I felt, and Frank was asleep. Everyone else just sleeps perfectly. And at nighttime, I'm in hell when I'm not at home. And it's just like massive, like universal energies just coming in and basically taking a torch to everything I've ever been and just burning every file as I'm just weeping
I
and
had a morning.
sobbing.
I had a morning today. I got a message. It was a yogic message. I managed to drag myself onto the mat this morning, waking up from some crazy dreams. As I walk through a field of flowers with Lakshmi, each petal is a jewel, and even the ominous, fatal thunderclouds rolling above are the pregnant goddess Kali, inseminated with rain by Sarasvati, ready to shower us deeper with wisdom and blessings into greater levels of truth and being.
Wow. So beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah.
Until it felt true, because I knew it was, but I fucking did not believe it. But I like, how is that not true?
How is what not true, love? Oh, what you just said?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
How is it not true?
Right, like the blessings in the death knell, because that's the greatest love of all. It's like the Divine Mother is coming to embrace us, and everything, every negative belief form that keeps us from receiving that embrace has to go. And so yeah, it's like this.
Like I got this, just to clarify a little bit.
Yeah.
Got this flowery bhakti, as we do when we do yoga in the morning. You get bhakti, devotional info. And so that message came in, and at first my conscious mind was like, that's so flowery. But then part of me was like, oh, but you know, what if it's true?
That was
so many blessings. And so I had to ask myself again and again, self, is this statement a lie? Is this a lie? And I think Dante did that with us at one point in our experience together, where we worked with summoning the opposite feeling. I'm worthless.
The opposite feeling, right?
True does that feel? I'm worthless. That doesn't feel very true.
He had us go into our bodies and feel, where do you feel that in your body, and what do you feel? And then we followed the chain of the next thought form. And then where do you feel that in your body? And then we followed the chain of the next thought form, right? And we kept bringing in the opposite beliefs and like finding them in the crystal field as representing some symbol represented that new belief, right? Of I am worthy, I am connected, I am loved. But I got to say, you know, when the pregnant Kali cloud comes, it is blessing, but it's the blessing of a more mature consciousness, right? Is able to really receive that as blessing, which is the death of everything that has blocked that beauty. So Kali comes to take away that, to bring the death of that which no longer serves, right? And it's so interesting because the gene key 19 is all about the sacrifice of the lower self so that the higher self can embody. And that's that night I just kept seeing gene key 19, like the letter 19 right across my, I was like, okay, gene key 19, here it is. So I walked out into the night and I just followed the path of the stars. It was like pure darkness. I had my little flashlight and I was like, I'm going to walk until all of me has died that needs to die. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And then when it was done, you know? And then I came back from camping and then I had the parts of me that were coming in to be like, okay, we're the parts that need to commit to this body for your life to go forward. You called us. We're coming in. How the hell do we get into this thing? It was like all these parts of myself were like trying to get through the earth suit, and they're like trying to swim through the layers, and they're trying to breathe through the lungs. I mean, I was like, do I call a psych ward? Is this it? Am I going to be able to survive this thing? And
yeah, and mental emotional facet of the energy body can really engage the parasympathetic nervous system and even the physiological system of our meat suits and our brains and our spirits.
it's like they're all like, what do we do with this? How do we get in here? I can't breathe in here. Can you breathe in here? What are these lungs? What's it?
It's a fine line between light work and
sanity.
And the Western constructs around mental hygiene. Hygiene is never a fascist thing to begin with, but that goes back to your prior point, which is to say that since we live in a fragmented and disrupted, pulverized, barely existent shell of a culture, we just
very well said.
Since we exist in that fucking bullshit, there's nowhere to put people. And so in our unity consciousness, interbeing, tribal, layered, respectable community world, and thinking about Aboriginal Dreamtime societies throughout history across the planet, people who were going a little bit, having intense experiences would be sent to go stay with the shaman, and that they were already plugged into folks who were suffering in any way, were plugged into the medicine community, to the intuitive healing modalities just off the bat. And I feel that
sorry, I'm just on my phone because I have to go soon.
I know. I want to let you go. I just want to be legit for our listeners to say physical and mental health are very important. If you find yourself at risk, go ahead and call whoever you need to call, the support line.
Yeah.
Like, let's be legit on that. And also just the connection between divergent thinking, creativity, and synchronicities and all that. That's my last little thing for safety purposes and for like modeling impeccable behavior purposes.
Absolutely. And to understand, I would just want to throw into there that it's like, this is a anything goes time. I mean, there's bizarre experiences. I mean, these are bizarre experiences when you've got parts of self coming back. And it is, call me if that's happening to you, call me. I know what it's like. Or call someone who can hold you. A lot of people are just going to say, you need to go to the hospital because you're suffocating, go get asthma medication. Or a lot of people are going to say, you need to go get on antidepressants or antipsychotic because I think you're psychotic, right? All these things, because our culture does not embrace this. It doesn't understand this. This is a shamanic journey that the tribal, medicine people would be like, yes, great breakthrough, great beauty. Let's hold this person through the night. And that's what you want. You want someone who's like, great breakthrough, great beauty. Let's hold this person through the night. I did wonder, like,
an expert at spinning out.
When I go through these suffocation episodes, that seems to be my thing. When parts of me are rejecting the body, I can't breathe. That's my hardest thing. And so I thought, well, do I need asthma medication? And I remember I went to a doctor and he said, no. He goes, your pulse is so high. Your fear is so huge. If we were to put like adrenaline into you or, epinephrine into you right now, no, that's not what you need. And they're like, your blood's at 98% oxygen. So you're suffocating in another dimension. That's what they told me. I had a beautiful doctor from Russia who was just substituting that night when I went to the emergency. And he's like, you are in another lifetime dying. Can you imagine? I go to my Kaiser and he's telling me you're in another lifetime.
He's like channeling his ancestral Siberian shaman freaking amazing roots in the ancestors of your doctor, maybe spoke through that person to be like, You are in another dimension, my dear.
He did. He just like looked right into my eyes, and I was just crying. I was on the hospital, bed, and Frank's like, what can we do? Does she need asthma medication? And they took my blood oxygen, 98. They took they listened to my lungs. They're like, no obstructions, and then I'm dying. I feel like I am going to die. That's how I was last night, 2 nights ago, the whole yesterday. So whatever it is, if parts of you have suffocated in other dimensions, I mean, I was buried alive in Egypt, and it took forever to die, and I was suffocating the whole time. So it's, we have to just hold ourselves and love ourselves as these most traumatic experiences leave the body. As they have to finish themselves, and there's nothing you can do to make it go faster. You just have to observe.
In honoring listening to your stories about dying in other dimensions, and I'm thinking about my own interdimensional deaths. I feel like I've died 1,000 deaths before I turned 20, but I just want to also just put a disclaimer that it's not the I'm special narrative. Like, if anybody out there is listening and they're like thinking like that, having this type of activation feels like an I'm special moment to fulfill some sort of exceptionality timeline, it's really not. It's actually really extremely uncomfortable and unpleasant, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, some of these types of experiences. And so, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to honor your story. I want to protect it also, to say that like when we have these activations, they're actually not fun. And like I actually don't wish them on anyone, and yet somehow they happen. And it's guarding against an incorrect view that somebody may have to feel that. And mystical magical people have always battled that incorrect view. But maybe me just putting the disclaimer there is enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, like, suffering, all human beings suffer. The suffering is so much part of the experience of being alive. And at the same time, there are perhaps landscapes of suffering that are longer and more intense for those who have chosen to be here to experience that intensity, and then be a vessel that can carry that much light, because it's all about the size of your emotional body, right? If you have a large emotional body, you're way more prone to suffering. Your suffering is going to be a louder volume than someone who has a smaller emotional body. And but if you have a very large emotional body, you're also someone who, as you move into brain fusion, you'll be able to carry a greater blessing of light than ever before. So we can also, we can think of how the artillery for death and torture and agony and pain and separation is the same artillery, or is the same instrument that will be used that will have the power to inspire, awaken, catalyze beauty, catalyze joy, catalyze union with God, as the negative has the power to feed you straight to the mouth of Satan, as a loosh harvesting, as a place where the most negative energy can be harvested. On the upside, as you move into alignment, your positive energy will serve the coming of the Christ, the building of the new architecture, more than, just as much as the negative hurt like hell in that entrapment, in that jail cell of suffering. And I know we talk about astrology, but like, Saturn in Pisces, I've got my Saturn in Pisces, and I've got my Pisces in the 9th house. So that's like just, Pisces is like the most watery swimmy, mermaidy, higher consciousness, ninth house, right? Is way up there, high spiritual connection. And then Saturn on top of that Pisces. I mean, that's the most incredible suffering there is in the whole universe. Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is in the ninth house. It's just like, are you kidding? You look at that chart and you just go, good luck. You know, if you live through it, it's going to be one hell of an interview on the other side. Right?
Mhm.
And so there's, you know, and then when we say extreme sports light workers, those are beings with huge energy bodies, huge emotional bodies. And they're the ones. And other people in the society that have much smaller emotional bodies are going to be like, what in the hell is wrong with this person? Right? They're addicted to suffering, they're addicted to drama, which is true. On the unaligned side, you get massive addiction to suffering. On the aligned side, you get incredible liberation toward the
What
end
are
of suffering.
what are the 3 levels in Jinki? Remember, it's the city and
Yeah,
the
so there's the shadow,
shadow side
the
of
gift,
the gift
and the city.
and the city. So that resonates.
City. Yeah,
City.
city. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a it's a big topic, but I tell you that if you're out there and you're going through, you know, just intense suffering and you don't know if it's ever going to end, and you're just like, oh my God, how do I unlock this? Oh God, another cycle of bondage. Oh God, here it is. Just know that you have a large emotional body and you're going through a cycle and you're going to get greater and greater liberation, especially as the whole earth is going through this die off, because everything that connects us to suffering is dying in December.
And also, like, as well, when you go to reach out to us for channeling or for our other intuitive healing modalities, I think part of what makes it so potent is not only the fact that we're trained up in these modalities, and you know, you and I have our respective modalities. For me, what it is like that light worker, that medicine person has been through at least one, if not hundreds of crucibles, just like mine. And the minute I connect to them energetically, in my life as a recipient of healing energy, I feel better the minute I'm in contact with my medicine person.
Yeah, because
So
they know, right? They know. They're like the grandfather shaman that's like been in the caves with the black snakes and been in the, you know, the fractal reality with the multiple selves trying to breathe. They've been in the, you know, they've been through so many layers of the descent that they can just put a rope down to anyone and be able to pull them in because they pulled themselves in, right? And that's, yeah, it's like the school of hard knocks, you know. Like I've never really, I have a lot of modalities, but all of them are under the umbrella of anything goes. I will do whatever I have to do to help get you out of where you're stuck. That's basically it. You know, I will do whatever it takes. I have tons of different things that I can draw on, but it's basically, where are you? What do you need? From where you are, do you need, you know, a walking stick to walk you up help you walk the cliff? Or do you need a full on rope? Or do you need a pulley that's going to just pull you out while your body's half limp? But what is it? I'm going to find it and I'm going to get it to you. Right.
and we also get to have friends in the light, in the community of the light, and we have our soul family members, and we have our dharma friends, and we have our yogis, and you have beeping noises from robots and everything that is all happening. I have so much gratitude for you, Sarah. Everything that we seem to each be going through just feels to be in such great alignment with turnings of Dharma will, and may we continue to become more and more aware of how exactly we're being blessed.
Yes. Hey, can I sing a closing song? My friend hasn't gotten back to me, so I just woke up a little while. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna tell her I got her message. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ocean. It's great to connect. I mean, we missed 1 week together and it felt like a year.
Yeah, it was so sad.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So this particular song is called Children of the Earth. And this is probably the first real song I ever created. And it came from 1986. There's a hole inside my heart, and it's tearing me apart. What can I do to ease this pain? It's driving me insane. Is the answer outside of me? Is it in something that I see? Well, that's sure what you're telling me. Yeah, that's what you're telling me. There's another voice down deep inside that's been singing all along. So listen close, her words are true, and she's singing straight to you. I think I'll just put it on speaker, send your pictures there. Are you still there, Ocean?
Yeah.
She's singing straight to you. Get off your road to only separation and fear. Don't you see that I have all that you need right here? Love is the answer to your cry. Come to me in your eyes, I'll dry. Now you can stop asking why. Finally stop asking why. Just climb the mountains and touch the stars. 'Cause love is here, love is now. It's our road to heaven, right here on earth. Our death and our rebirth. Our death and our rebirth. Though the hour And the world is filled with fear and hate. We, the children of the earth, are awaiting our rebirth. 'Cause we know the answer, it's deep inside of us. It's love, it's here, and it's now. It's our road to heaven, right here on earth. Our death and our rebirth. Our death and our rebirth. So the only place to start is right here inside your heart. Peace and love begin with you. Won't you let the light shine through? Feel all of your emotions, set them free, let them breathe through the exit of your heart. Peace and love begin with you. Won't you let the light shine through? Peace and love begin with you. Only you.
Wow. I thank you so much for that song. You've blessed us with your frequency. And I just wanted to take the space to lie down and close my eyes and really listen to it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I wrote that one in 1986. It was probably the first ever like whole song that came through. And it just came through. I was breaking up with my boyfriend, and it just, it just came through, and I was like, okay, that's my first song that I've ever written. It's on my Bandcamp page for sale on sarahdams1.bandcamp.com. But yeah, as I was singing it, I was getting some more messages of the breathing and why the breathing thing happens to me in particular, maybe to you out there if you have this issue. But yeah, my soul was fragmented into multiple pieces, 627 actually, and I think I've got about 18 to 24 left of the puzzle. It's gone from 627 to 18 to 24. And so when all those pieces were landing and trying to merge back to the oneness last night or a couple nights ago, because they exist as different fractals with actual different identities, they were all having to find the breath that they could breathe together. And between the fractals, between the fractured pieces, is repellence. It's an energy of just, I hate you, right? So you have to breathe through the hatred to unite them. That's what was happening. Now I realize, oh my God, Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Yeah. So sending that energy of forgiveness to make it across those pieces of self-hatred that are so intense.
Yeah, it's such a journey. It's a journey, and we're alone and we're together. We're alone and we're together, and we're here and we're not here. And how courageous when we have the chance to share them. So thank you, Sarah, for that beautiful medicine song. And
thank you, Ocean.
Always enjoy our little chats, my dear.
I love our chats. Blessings to everybody out there. And yeah, today's August 13th, right? So Jason says this is the day the vax seal comes off and throws us into chaos. So the next 3 days, whatever comes up, just feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. When we come out the other side on the 16th, and then we dock into the new shore on the 18th, we'll see where we're going. We'll really see where a better trajectory of where we're headed on the Ascension ship.
Aho, so be it.
Aho. Thank you, love. I'll talk to you again, if not sooner, next week. Mwah. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, love.